Welcome back to Press Review. Let's start by taking a look at today's front pages in the Middle East. Starting with Saudi Arabia's Arab News, leading its report that domestic Hajj companies have forged an alliance to provide 10,000 local pilgrims the opportunity to perform Hajj this year for 2,750 Saudi riyals. The paper also reports that GCC states have formed a joint team to speed up legal action against websites and social media platforms accused of violating the laws governing the use of cyberspace in the region. From Cairo, the Egypt Independent reports that former Interior Minister Habib al-Adli was acquitted of profiteering and money laundering charges involving sums worth 5 million Egyptian pounds. The paper also reports that Deputy Health Minister in Aswan, Mohammed Azmi, vowed to eradicate malaria in the province by the 20th of June. The Jerusalem Post reports that minutes after midnight, Shfela Sub-District Police reported that a man had shown up at the Ramleh police station and told officers that he had just murdered both of his children at his home. The paper also reports that Israel has advanced plans for 1,083 settlers' homes in the West Bank as part of its response to the newly formed Palestinian Unity Government. And from the Lebanon, Beirut's Daily Star reports that Lebanese troops, backed by 2 helicopter gunships, have intensified patrols near the border with Syria following a series of violent incidents over drug disputes. The paper also reports that the internal security forces have launched an investigation after 2 minor Syrian brothers allegedly strangled their 24-year-old sister to death in what was said to be an honor killing. And from the UAE, the Gulf News reports that the Iraqi Air Force began bombing positions in and around Mosul and Tikrit yesterday, days after the cities fell to the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. The paper also reports that an Indian woman said yesterday that she was gang raped by 4 officers at a police station, the latest incident in a string of shocking sex attacks. Now let's take a look at the top Mideast news in UK papers. The Independent leads Middle East news following Iraq reporting that the Kurds have taken the northern oil city of Kirkuk that they have long claimed as their capital, and Sunni fundamentalist fighters vow to capture Baghdad and the Shia holy cities further south. The paper says government rule over the Sunni Arab heartlands of north and central Iraq is evaporating as its 900,000-strong army disintegrates. The Guardian reports that Australia could be hit with trade sanctions over the Abbott government's decision to stop calling East Jerusalem occupied, a term used in United Nations resolutions and supported in votes by the Australian government. The paper says the policy change was restated by Tony Abbott overnight in the US, hours after the representatives of 18 nations, including Indonesia, protested against the policy change to the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. The Telegraph leads Middle East news reporting that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing a fresh row over his use of public finances following revelations he spent £5,100 sterling of taxpayers' money on furniture that was installed in his private villa. The paper says an opposition politician accused the Israeli leader and his family of corruption after it was disclosed that the furnishings had been originally bought for the Prime Minister's official residence in Jerusalem, but were later moved to his own house in the exclusive seaside resort of Caesarea. And now let's take a look at the top Mideast news in international papers. China's Global Times reports that if talks over Iranian nuclear issue fail to result in a comprehensive deal, Iran will resume its high-grade uranium enrichment. ISNA news agency quoted Iran's senior nuclear negotiator saying, the paper says if all parties were to leave the negotiating table in Vienna next week without striking a final accord, then the talks could be extended for another 6 months under the terms of the November deal. And finally, the International New York Times reports that as many as 500,000 Iraqis fled al-Mosul this week, many of them Sunnis who seemed less fearful of the beheadings and summary justice that the ISIS is known for than of their own government, and the barrage it might unleash in an effort to take the city back. The paper says that many Sunnis would prefer to take their charges under a militant group so violent it was thrown out of Al-Qaeda sharply illustrates how difficult it will be for the Iraqi government to reassert control. And for more updates, please visit Levant.tv. Thanks for watching and bye for now.